All right. Today I have this wonderful guest named Frank who owns a brilliant agency based out of Atlanta. And I am so excited to share this episode with you because in this episode, Frank and I really dive into one of the problems that he has, which is a common problem that agency owners have everywhere, which is I can't take a vacation. I can't take a vacation. What do I do? I can't take a vacation. And this is a common thing. I remember experiencing this in my first agency quite a lot. And I hear it often from other people that own agencies as well. Just like, how do you do this? How do you take time off? Everybody needs me all the time. And the reality is, if you don't have the ability to take a vacation, you're a freelancer. You're a freelancer with a team. You're not an agency owner. And so Frank and I get into how can he do that? How can he create systems and processes to take that vacation? And he's a beautiful human, someone that I absolutely love. And I'm so thankful that he came on the podcast. So without further ado, let's get into the conversation. All right, Frank, I'm so excited to be talking to you, man. This is going to be so fun. I enjoyed just the brief little bit that we had offline. All right, so you're the owner and founder of ExV Agency, based out of Atlanta.
Oh yeah,
EX,
EXV. Yep.
EXV. I apologize.
Oh, that's right.
And we're here to talk about, hey, what's the biggest issue or problem that you're facing in your agency right now? I know that you guys do PR. You've also got the production studio. You have these two big verticals. You have lots going on. So tell us, what is your biggest problem or issue right now?
So I could speak to myself and I'll speak to the agency as well. And it's probably one and the same. I think the biggest issue that our agency faces is creative burnout. And then that also translates to the person and the company as well.
Yeah.
We are constantly coming up with new ideas. We're trying to innovate. We're trying to look at the market and see what we could add to it that's different. And what does that toll do to the employees, myself included, as we're going through that process? So I'd say creative burnout.
Beautiful. All right. So as someone that's struggled with that in the past, let's get into it. So what are your rhythms and habits right now, whether it's creative burnout or just personal burnout? What are the things, the patterns in your life that you're using to work through some of that?
Sure. Well, obviously, personally, I could speak to a yoga practice, outside of work for sure, and that's been really helpful. But I would say within our organization, just really revamping our operations. I love operations. I don't know why I do. I just do. I maybe because I used to be a chef in a past life. So everything for me needs to be, we could go on forever. I have everything for me needs to be in a certain place. So just really looking at our operations with a bird's eye view and looking at what systems can help us through this process. Instead of spending 2 days trying to write a pitch deck, let's look at some automation. Let's look into some really great software that's out there to really help with that. I think when you're creatively burnt out, your brain doesn't think of the solutions, they only think of the problems. And that is something that I find that I'm challenged with. There's a solution for everything, but it's taking that moment for you, that hour at yoga where you could actually think, that presents the solutions to a lot of these problems.
Love it. I love it. Okay, so you've got a yoga practice. Does you're talking about some of the systems and processes your team has.
Sure.
Does your team have a cadence or a pattern of, hey, I need to get out of my normal routine in order to go find some new creative idea? Or is it just like, hey, it's 8 to 6 every day, and if you take a long lunch break, that's cool. Just you're gonna have to work till 7:30 tonight. What's kind of the pattern that you've set for your team so that they have some experience of rejuvenation as well?
That's a great question. Well, first I have to correct you on that timeline because my business partner and co-founder Karen Gamba is in Hong Kong and I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. So there's that, which so we start, and I'd say we're a very collaborative agency. All of our staff is very intertwined in the same project. So we start at 8 a.m. because we're on an opposite clock, work through the whole day, and then 8 p.m. comes around here in the States, and Karen's just waking up overseas. So that starts that cycle too. So there's a challenge in that unto itself. But I would honestly say the team, we do try to give everybody their breathing room to kind of innovate for sure. But a lot of it does come in collaboration with each other. Therein where the problem lies. Because if I want to be creative with our graphic designer or our social media manager or my partner, Karen, or even our intern, it's at a time where we may have been working already for 10 hours that day. So we do find that challenge in there for sure, but we try to let everybody breathe a little bit in the process. Absolutely, to answer your question.
Yeah. So outside on your own personal practice, you've got the yoga practice, which I love. My wife actually is a certified yoga instructor, and we partake a lot. What else are you doing for either your creative well-being or your personal burnout stuff?
I love that. Definitely finding creativity in everyday life is my thing. So I need to engage in other activities outside of work. My brain will stop if I'm not. So it's like a physical thing for me. So things that I do, I mean, I'll go for like a long rollerblade, put on some 80s rock Metallica and just rock it the hell out. Roller skating, that's my happy place, right? But I actually try, and this is something that I try to tell a lot of people that ask me a similar question. I try to look at life through the lens of myself as a child a lot of the times. And I will pick up a comic book and I will watch an animated series that I loved as a kid, just to remember that that's who I am at my root. And I could find so much joy and inspiration by just reconnecting with myself as a younger person, and those triggers really help me do that. So I've learned to lean into that. I am 42 years old. I know I don't look it. I don't have to take the words out of your mouth. I'm totally kidding. What a thing to say. But no, in all seriousness, I think that looking at life through that lens helps my brain sort of process all of the being inundated constantly, and by reconnecting to that sort of spirit. Yeah,
I love it, man. I love it. Okay, so have you heard of the Entrepreneurial Operating System, or EOS?
I've heard of it, but I'm not an expert, so you're going to have to tell me a little bit about it.
All right, so this is we use EOS to run all 7 of the companies that I own, and it's essentially, you're going to like this because you're a process person, you're an organization person. It's a system of how to run your company, and it works really well for organizations up to 250 people. So you have plenty of growing room, as do my companies, to get to that size, right? So one of the things that's beautiful about this is baked into EOS are a few different things. So one of them is, hey, we have a weekly standing meeting for the leadership team, which the leadership team may just be you and your partner, or it may be everyone on your staff, depending on how many people you have on the team, right? And essentially the cadence is exactly the same. It's 90 minutes. Hey, we're going to work through these problems. You show up, you kind of have a conversation, 5 minutes. Hey, give us personal good news, professional good news. Next thing, you pull out a scorecard. I always say the scorecard is like, hey, if you were on a beach drinking margaritas and you saw these numbers, like here's how much revenue came in, here's the bank account, here's how many leads came in, whatever that is for your company, you'd be like, cool, I can have another drink. Or you'd see that number and be like, I have to stop drinking and I have to get on a plane and fly home to take care of things right now, right? So you go over a scorecard for a few minutes, you go over some customer and employee headlines for a few minutes. All these are 5-minute sections. And then you move into what's called IDS, identify, discuss, and solve. And it's the remainder of your time. And so what you do in that section is everyone goes around the room and they identify a problem or issue.
Mhm.
And then you start to work through them one by one. You discuss it and you come up with a solve, and then you assign the solve to another person, right? And it may
Yeah.
not be just on their plate to get it done, as in like there may be contributing people to achieving that goal, but they're responsible for getting it accomplished. That's just
Mhm.
one element. Some of the other elements, and the one that I want to mention to you that's really, really powerful for this conversation, is they take what they call a clarity break. Okay.
Mhm.
So this could be done every day for 15 minutes where you seriously just get out of your space. This may look like taking a walk. This may look like getting out of your house, going to a coffee shop, journaling. And
Yep.
for 15 minutes a day, you would just go, okay, I'm going to work on the business and not in the business, right?
Mhm.
So I'm not going to come up with creative ideas. I'm going to think about like what else is going on that we need to be fixing with the company.
Yeah.
Or you do an hour a week, once a week, or you do a half day once a month. Now, here's what I'll say for me personally, I love the half day once a month because
Mhm.
I get out of my house, I drive somewhere nice, I pay for the meal on the company card, and I
Mhm.
just go, what's going on? And I don't know if you've had this experience, but I think that you may, Frank,
Yeah.
where some of my best work gets done in an airplane.
Oh, absolutely. Or the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. We absolutely.
no one expects me to interact with them.
Hmm.
And if I'm on the plane and I don't pay for Wi-Fi, which I never do on purpose, no one
Right.
can reach me, right? And so for that, however long duration of a flight, I'm left to my thoughts and my journal. And it's absolutely astounding what I come up with. And so that may be a cadence that's worth implementing in
Yeah.
each staff member's week or
Mhm.
their month. Hey, listen, every month or every week you can take an hour, or you can do once a month 4 hours. Don't care, but
Right.
just think about your work. Don't
Uh-huh.
do any work, just think about your work. What could you bring? The other
Mm.
thing is
So smart.
giving your people just a little idea of how to find that creativity, because I love that y'all are collaborative. That's so freaking epic
Yeah.
that it's like, man, what if you gave them some scenario, like you said some things that were really, really beautiful.
Oh,
I
thank you.
go rollerblading. I do
Yeah.
hiking. Um, you just get out. I wonder if, and you said something too, you're like, I like to see creativity in the world to find creativity for me. I
Mhm.
wonder if there's a way for you to impart that to your people. So, like, one of
Mhm.
the things that I tell my staff all the time, I'm like, go to a museum. Like,
Mhm.
just go to a museum and just walk around. You don't need to take any notes. Just be amongst great minds of creativity and just see what happens.
Love it.
Change up your morning routine. Instead of brushing your teeth first, go eat breakfast first. Brush your teeth. Like change something up in your day to find a new thought, idea, creative space. Because we all experience creative burnout when you're in a creative industry. Um, Last thing that I'd say is like, what could you do to incentivize your people to take time to go do some self-care for themselves?
Mm.
Hey, listen, the distraction device isn't helping you. As much as that feels good, what else could you do that's actually going to let your brain turn off?
Mm.
Anyways, just some general thoughts there. I have more specific ones. What are you thinking about all this, man?
I mean, it's wonderful because I think we identify all of this with self and not the team.
Yeah,
If I'm honest, I don't think maybe that's one of my shortcomings is that I don't necessarily consider other people's creative burnout as much as my own, if I'm being honest. And
yeah.
that's, I will always be honest. So maybe considering, you know, some of our other team members, are they feeling the same way? Maybe I don't need to, I should be sharing this more with the team. I know my business partner and I are, we're speaking at high level, and we're talking about this quite often, the two of us, but everybody else, is that something that, is affecting them as well? It doesn't register because I think we look in the mirror and we look at the person in the mirror and try to make that better, but do they feel the same way I do? So maybe being a little bit more open and forthright is going to go a long way here, and maybe they'll help me find solutions too. That's great. But I do love this, and I'm reflecting a lot on what you've said, and I definitely think it's going to help our business.
Another thing is, right, like Frank,
Yeah.
when's the last time you took time off, man?
Well, it's always like time off with a gun to your head. Do you relate to that? It's
Yeah.
literally, it's like under duress time off always. I
Yeah.
mean, we did take a little trip, my partner and I, but it ended up, coming off the heels of insanity. And then it doesn't feel like a vacation or time off because your body is like still in shock from all of that. So I think something that I've learned is time off before the real time off. I think unplugging a few days before you leave to go somewhere, that is a life lesson I just learned in my 42nd year around this earth. Um, is something that's becoming important because you're waiting 4 or 5 days into a trip to get the anxiety out, get your sleep rhythm back, and you're not relaxing. You're still looking at, whatever we call those phones these days, and you're still waiting for an update or you're still waiting for something. So that's a challenge and something that I learned lately as well. But yeah, so I tried to take some time off, but I don't think it was the best type of time.
Yeah. One of the things that I've found is that if you can get to 10 staff members, this has been my personal experience, all
Yep.
of a sudden your life gets better because at that point you have, hypothetically, someone that can take sales calls and
Mhm.
close deals. You have an operator that can make sure that the trains arrive on time and that nothing's off schedule.
Yep.
You have someone that's creative enough that can
Yeah.
step in for you, and you have someone that can handle big client conversations. Obviously, you'll have some other frontline employees that are doing some real work as well, but those four people will make sure that the company continues to go on. And one of the biggest gifts that you can give to your clients, and this is a way that I've said it to them, Frank,
Yeah.
I tell them, I'm like, listen, I'm going to be out for 2 weeks. And I tell them a month before I go, I'm going to be
Mm.
out for 2 weeks.
Yep.
The reason why I'm taking 2 weeks off is because I want to come back and serve you better.
Mm.
Because if you always make it about them, they always feel good, right? And
Yeah.
so I tell them, hey, listen, if you need anything, I need you to tell me this week because I am going to be gone for these 2 weeks. I will not be reachable. And that
Hmm.
is for your benefit and for mine. And
Yeah.
that, to your point, my favorite thing to do is take like 3 or 4 days at the start of that 2 weeks,
Yeah.
then travel, then come home and have 3 or 4 days.
Excellent.
And it
Excellent.
just changes the dynamic
Mhm.
because you're like, oh, I had a slow exit. I'm still here at the house, but I'm not working.
Yeah.
And you really
Well,
have to, it's a discipline, right? You're like, I
yeah,
can't look at
no.
my phone.
Yeah, no, I think this is excellent advice. Have you ever experienced that guilt that you don't want to tell your client that you're going on vacation or you're leaving for a certain amount of time?
Absolutely. Of
Yeah.
course. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also think I would imagine, and you tell me, I mean, maybe you have a different experience, maybe you have different clients. My
Mhm.
clients all take lots of vacations.
I think mine do. Can you send some my way? I think these people don't sleep. No, we have really great motivated clients that are
Sure.
constantly, but we're all in that same space. We're creating together, you
Yeah,
know, and people get jazzed about that and they see
absolutely.
results and they get invested in it and it becomes about them and it's in their DNA. So of course, when you get excited about something, you're up in the middle of the night and you want to talk to someone about it. So we're getting the email or the call or the text.
Right.
So it's like it goes back to that whole creative burnout. Now we have our clients are creating and it's falling on us too.
Right.
So you're gonna need to send me a bill after this because it's turning into a cathartic experience.
I love it. Listen,
Yeah,
man, I think that it's one of those things though, Frank, where boundaries with your
sure.
clients create better results.
Of
And it's
course.
not, and I know that you know that, and we can all intellectually go, yeah, no crap. But in practice, of course, that's fucking hard. Like it
Mm.
just is. And so, but it is going to be vital because I experienced years ago now. um, at the age of 29, I had been running my business. I'd got my first agency. I got it to $1 million. I went to the doc because my wife was like, "Hey, you're about to turn 30, our second kid's on the way. Like, maybe you should go have a checkup. And I did a stress test because I was doing what you're doing, seriously doing what you're doing. My staff was about the same size and everything. And he goes, hey, so we've tested 4,500 people. You're the most stressed out person we've ever tested.
Wow.
He goes, if you don't change, you're not going to see 40. I was like, good God. And he was like, really, you have to change. You're going to have he's like, you're in good shape. You're going to have a heart attack. And that's, and what was really frightening was 9 months later, I had a friend who was 30 who had a heart attack and he survived, but it was like, whoa, this is possible. And so as you think about this, man, I know you love your work. I can feel it. It comes off you, man. Like it's so beautiful. I love it so much. And man, like you have a partner, you have a life, you have all these people that care about you more than what you produce, And so if you get to the place where you can come back to, this is me, Frank, taking care of Frank. So that I can serve clients better. Your clients are going to see great results. They're going to feel loved on, and you're going to have a more rich and full life. I also wonder if there's a way with the time zones, because I have a client that I've worked with for years. She's in Texas and her business partner's in Australia. So similar differences, not exactly the same, but close. They do all of their meetings with him at like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. He wakes up early. And he only comes to that one meeting together during the week. Now, it's not a creative collaboration, so I understand that is fundamentally different. But that's kind of interesting. The other thing that I think is worth mentioning is Marco Polo app. Have you heard of this?
Did I download this thing a couple of days ago and not look at it? Potentially. Tell me about it.
Okay, so imagine that you can send a video message, but it's never like uploading. It can be as long as you want because it's just stored in the cloud. You can have it be your entire staff in one section. You can have it be just you and your business partner. You can talk to individual staff, but here's what it does. It allows you to get tone, inflection, body language, because it's a video from your phone, and they can send it, and then you can respond. So as you're collaborating, you can get like let me give you the big idea. Let me talk about, and like, here's the prompt, and here's the thing, and this is what, and so it changes how, so it feels like you're talking in person, but you're not having to be working super late, or your business partner's not having to work super early. And so it just gives people a little bit more time and space. We started to execute this for all of our staff. It's free.
And
it's
I had it during COVID. Now I remember it. We would use it, connect with some family and things like that. But no, I think that's we're gonna definitely try that, but especially between my business partner and I, because I think, like you said, you feel the energy, right? And I feel her energy when we're on a Zoom like this. I see her reaction, and it leads us to a great place. So I'm really excited you gave me that advice, and I think that's something I would have never thought about. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I'm going to start that like tonight. I'm going to hang up. I'm going to self-record videos and just send them to her. But for sure, I think that's brilliant.
I love it. Well, Frank, if people want to engage with your PR agency, or they want to get the studio stuff going, or they just want to follow you because you're an amazing human that's beautifully creative, where can they find you?
Sure. Well, we're kind of all over the place. We have my LinkedIn, which is Frank Carlisi, Carlisi. I love that. Respond there. Our agency, the ExV Agency, we're a PR, media, and content production company. Our website URL is www.exv-agency.com. You could also find us on Instagram at ExV Agency, or send me an email, info@exv-agency.com. That's all of it, I think.
I love it. Frank, thank you so much for being on. I've so thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm excited to stay in touch, man.
Absolutely. Consider that done. It's a pleasure. The pleasure is all mine. So thank you.